You didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
The energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, reppin' both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire, misunderstood. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline greens, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. Rob hype on the mic, CP's the fire spark. Together they ignite, voices like the park. Fans dripped in jerseys, legacy bold. The Metropolitan story forever told. Turnstile spinning, the crowd floods the gates. This is family, no time for debates. Crack of the Batman, the roar never fades. Queens in the blood, it's how champions are made. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline gleams, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. 7-line swagger, vibes electric and wild. Mets legacy golden since I was a child. Orange crushed skies, let the battle ignite. Ride for the home team till the last fight.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Amazing Mets pregame show right here on the channel and on X. How is everybody doing on this Memorial Day weekend coming up as the New York Mets return home to face the LA Dodgers as they finally get back home after a rough, somewhat road trip, if you want to call the Bronx and Boston kind of road trips, but they were on the road for that two series, as it was a tough road for the New York Mets as they went 2-4 on that road trip. And at the very least, they salvaged the series against the Boston Red Sox in the last game of the series. And it was the Brett Baty show in Game 3 in Boston. And Brett Baty deserves a lot of credit, man. I mean, 99.9% of this fan base basically written him off, thinking that he would never come back to the big leagues. And with the injury to Winker, Baty got another opportunity. And let's be honest, guys, this was his last opportunity to show the Mets that he belongs, or they might have gotten rid of him. And he's shown that what the talent that everybody, or at least the organization, has seen with him, he's finally showing it. And it's not even just the offense. His defense has been absolutely amazing. A complete turnaround, in my opinion, from what we've seen 2.5, 3 years ago. He's a totally different defensive player. And the difference is, and we talked about this with Brett Baty, it's confidence. When you get the confidence and you show it on the field and you feel confident at the plate, you feel confident on the field, the talent usually takes over. And that's what you're seeing with Brett Baty right now, as Brett Baty's playing every single day now. And it is amazing. He got that start against Garrett Crochet, and Brett Baty played extremely well. And now he's going to get opportunities to play every day now. And we're going to see how long, see if Brett Baty can continue this progress and this good play on the field and at the plate. And hopefully he helps us win some more games. So make sure you hit that like button, guys, and subscribe to the channel. As I said, for the opening, the Mets play the Dodgers at Citi Field. The Dodgers, who are also having a rough go of it over probably the last, I would really say, week and a half to 2 weeks. They've been struggling after their really fast start, just like the Mets. I mean, they've been struggling worse than the Mets, as they've been losing 8 of 9. They're 2-8 in their last 10, I believe, the last time I checked. So it's something that you see all teams go through. We all know. And then everybody can talk about the injuries all they want. The Mets have not had Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas, two guys that were supposed to be a mainstay in their rotation. Yet nobody wants to talk about that when things are going bad because of the offense being the main culprit for the New York Mets. But the Dodgers have been extremely bad over the last, I would say, 2 weeks. And yes, it is on Apple TV tonight, so everybody can enjoy that. But what I like about Apple TV now, what they changed, is that they'll have a Met guy and they'll have a Dodger guy. Any color guy or a play-by-play guy is usually for each of the two teams, whoever's at home is usually the play-by-play guy. So Apple TV's changed that instead of bringing up people that nobody's heard of or nobody cares about to do a game. So at least Apple TV's being a little bit better. So it's not the end of the world, but I know everybody doesn't have Apple TV, so that is something that I understand. And I was hoping to do a live in-game play-by-play today, but unfortunately, I know I'm going to get called into work today, so there's a strong possibility that I would have to jump ship after that. So I don't want to start it and then have to end it quicker than I want to. So overall, with the New York Mets, we know the problem with the New York Mets. It's the runners in scoring position. It's been the top of the order, and that is why the big lineup changers have been made in the last game of the series against the Red Sox. We saw Starlin Marte bat second. Now, I didn't think that was going to last. I just think that it was a tough lefty, and I don't know if they were going to throw Vientos in that two spot right away, and I think they just wanted to move Soto and Alonso, flip them around, and flip it around a little bit in that first four spots, and that's where I think Mendoza. I think this is going to be the lineup for a little while, guys. I think Vientos in the number 2 spot, as Chris and many of you guys during the offseason and when the roster was taking shape during spring training, we had major conversations about this, and we had a lot of back and forth. A lot of us disagreed with certain lineup situations, but a lot of people wanted Mark Vientos number 2, and the numbers, tell the story when it comes to Mark Vientos. He has outstanding numbers, probably his best numbers in the number 2 hole. So if Vientos can get it going here and it works out with the number 2, we can finally see what this 1 through 4 can actually do when they're actually hitting well, because we haven't seen it all year. All 4 of these guys hasn't been clicking on all cylinders at the same time. Juan Soto had about a week and a half stretch. Pete Alonso had about a 3-week stretch. Lindor had about a 2.5 to 3 week stretch. Vientos really hasn't had a stretch where he's basically carried a team. So it's been mostly Alonso and Lindor that had the longest stretches of carrying this team offensively. Nimmo has been on and off, and you see where Nimmo is now. Nimmo's in a 6 hole. Now, I don't think Starlin Marte is going to be there long term in the 6 hole, but again, where are we going in the DH spot? Unless you're going to put Acuna at second base every day, Beatty at third base, and Vientos DH, in which I would be perfectly fine with. Marte's going to play. He's been playing. I think he played 2 out of the 3 games in Boston, and he played 3 out of 4. So I do know the fact that Marte is not going to be the DH going forward. I can promise you that. It's just with another lefty, Marte's the other righty they want in there. They're probably not going to send another lefty at the plate. And, Jeff McNeil is not playing today. So, there's the other guy that they could have put in there. But I think if McNeil is playing, you're going to have to DH Vientos, play Beatty at third, play Acuna at second. And that's going to be, Vientos, Beatty, and Acuna in the lineup, along with Jeff McNeil, who might play somewhere. I don't know where would you have to, that's the problem with the New York Mets right now. If you look at the roster construction, is the fact that for the Met fans who, really did not want to see Jeff McNeil coming back, Jeff McNeil has been pretty solid coming back. He hasn't been the old Jeff McNeil, but he's been pretty good. He's been solid. And with the lack of offense and the lack of potential this lineup has shown for the first 50 games of the season, Jeff McNeil has been somewhat of a bright side since coming back from the injury in this lineup. So this is the problem, right? You're going to have to sit Jeff McNeil if you're going to DH Vientos. If you're going to DH Vientos, play Beatty at third, and play Acuna at second base, McNeil is going to sit. So I know nobody's going to, cry in their pillow because Jeff McNeil is not playing, but he's one of the brighter sides in this lineup right now, and that is something that you have to pay attention to. But again, overall, look where Francisco Alvarez is batting now. He's batting 9th, and I think this is one step closer of Luis Torrens playing every single day. And honestly though, when Luis Torrens plays and he starts, the Mets win. And there's something that we have to really look at that very, very shortly, because if not tomorrow, because you can't keep on losing games like this and your catcher being absolute zero offensively especially when other guys are not doing the job. Francisco Alvarez was supposed to be the guy that was basically around the middle part of this, around the front 5 or 6 in this lineup. It was supposed to be a combination of Lindor and Soto and Vientos and Alonso and Nimmo, and Alvarez is supposed to be in that top 6 somewhere, really causing havoc to pitchers. And this lineup was supposed to be dynamic. You can't. It's hard to do that when Alvarez has been almost a zero this year. And really, nobody has really stepped up to be that, 1 through 4, let alone 1 through 5 or 6. And that has been the problem with this lineup. You don't have the consistency from your top 4. Let's be honest about this. Pete Alonso has been absolutely terrible after his extremely hot start. His first 3 weeks. Juan Soto has been a zero. Lindor has had the first couple of weeks of the season really good. Mark Vientos hasn't been good. Brandon Nimmo hasn't been good. Francisco Alvarez, coming back from injury, has not been good. Right? You've seen flashes of Acuna, but Acuna has been okay. But again, Acuna is with Lindor being so important in the leadoff spot, that's where you would want Luis Angel Acuna, but he still has to work that lower those strikeouts a little bit more and try to get on base more using his speed, because Luis Angel Acuna is not going to be a 20-plus home run guy. He's not going to be a big RBI guy. He's going to be a table setter, and that's fine. Luis Angel Acuna be a very, very good addition to this lineup and to this team overall as being a table setter, right? Stealing bases when you need him, getting on base when you need him, getting that base hit when that's the type of guy Luis Angel Acuna is. He can be a doubles machine. That's something that he still has to work on, because I need him to hit more doubles because his speed is so dynamic. Getting him at second base is almost an automatic RBI if you get a base hit. So that is something that Luis Angel Acuna has to, progressively get better at. And he's still very young, so it's not like we were throwing him to the wolves or anything like that. But what people wanted from Luis Angel Acuna, too many people made it, act like he was going to be MVP caliber. He's not going to be that player. Ever going to be that player. I think he could be a 10 home run guy, maybe on a good year, 15 home run guy, but he's got to be that doubles and stolen base machine. So he's got to work his walks. He's got to have better at bats, and he's got to lower that strikeouts a little bit for him to be really dynamic in what his skill set is for the to help the New York Mets win ball games. So that is something that I expect Luis Acuna to get better at. And by no means do I think he's going to be a bad player. I think he's going to be a very solid player, but not what people expected him to be as a top prospect. And again, that's not the worst thing in the world. You need a guy like that. You need a table setter. You need a guy with lightning fast speed. You need a guy that he might be an overall. I think if he gets his strikeouts down and his walks up a little bit more and get that average, work his way of getting on base more by any means necessary, I could see him being a leadoff hitter of the future over the next 2 years or so. But as of right now, you're not moving Francisco Lindor from that leadoff spot. He's been MVP caliber since he's been in the leadoff spot, and you're just not going to mess with that unless you absolutely have to. So at the moment, Luis Angel Acuna's best spot is in the 9-hole because his job will be turning over that lineup. That's why he's a table setter. That's why he's the perfect 9-hole hitter in this lineup. A lot of people have been talking about Ronnie Mauricio. I see a lot of people talking about it in the chat. Mauricio posted on Instagram the other day about, hashtag Big Apple, all that stuff, and everybody got excited that he was getting called up. The whole thing with that was that his rehab assignment was officially over. He's been activated to the active roster. So that's why he probably did that, because he is one step closer to getting to the big leagues. I think a lot of people thought during the off day that it was in the works that he was going to get called up. It's not happening yet, guys. Again, who are you sending down? Like, that's the other thing. People are like, oh, just bring up Ronnie Mauricio. Well, who are you sending down? Acuna? Beatty? They're not DFAing Starlin Marte yet. If people don't believe that Starlin Marte isn't crucial to this dugout, you're not really paying attention to what the dynamic is in this dugout at all. We have to understand the fact that everybody for the last couple of seasons, including myself, have talked about chemistry being a big thing for the New York Mets. Last year, it was Jose Iglesias bringing that chemistry, bringing the camaraderie together with this dugout, with this roster that was struggling in mid-May of last year for the first month and a half of the season. He came up, and it was that and the lineup change that kind of changed everything about this roster, everything about the dugout, the vibes in the dugout. Starling Marte is a guy still, not mostly on the field, but he's still a veteran presence that I still think you need. I don't think Pete Alonso's that guy. I don't feel like Pete Alonso is the guy to bring people together. I don't think a lot of people actually like Pete Alonso overall as a person. I think they think he's still a little doofy. And I think that comes for years of being in the organization. And again, that's not a bad thing, right? We love doofy Pete Alonso, right? We love that, he runs, with his legs wide open when he's running and looks silly doing it. I just feel like Pete Alonso isn't the guy to bring people together. I feel like it's the veterans, it's the Lindors, it's the Starling Martes. I know Starling Marte isn't Lindor. I know Starling Marte isn't Soto or Alonso offensively, or even Nimmo for that matter. But he still brings that veteran presence. And when you need somebody to speak up, and with a lot of Latin American players on this team, a lot of these guys look up to Starling Marte. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, Juan Soto and Starling Marte are very close. And I don't think you're going to just throw Starling Marte away, because he still has a place in this roster, in my opinion. And I don't think moving Ronnie Mauricio and DFA and Starling Marte, now again, it's okay if they do that. Again, Juan Soto's a big boy. Juan Soto is getting a big payday. If the Mets decide that Ronnie Mauricio is going to help this roster more overall than Starling Marte, so be it. I'm not going to cry about it, but I still think there's a dynamic where Starling Marte still has a place on this roster. But I do understand if the Mets decide the offense is still not going here, Ronnie Mauricio is a big bat that could potentially help this lineup. He could play second, he could play short, he can play third. The versatility you are looking for in another guy that can play multiple positions, Starling Marte cannot. He could play right field very occasionally, but with Juan Soto playing every day, it's probably not going to happen. So Marte is basically a DH. That hurts the overall versatility of this roster. So I do understand people saying, well, it's obvious, DFA Marte. But are you going to do it so early? Unless the offense is completely continuing to be bad, I don't think they're going to DFA Marte. So it's got to be somebody else. And I forgot who it was. I do apologize. Who said, do you think Ronnie Mauricio is going to be a better player than Luisano Acuna? 100%. I think they have two different skill sets. That's the difference. Again, that doesn't mean that Luisano Acuna can't be very vital and very good for this team. It's just that Ronnie Mauricio, you can easily see being a 25, 30 home run guy. You see the guy that can be, now, again, with his knee, I don't know if he's going to have that speed that he brought to the table. I mean, he still might. He's still young. So maybe he still brings that speed. But he has potential for 25, 30 home run power. Now, I don't know about average. It's hard to judge him when you really haven't seen a full season from him. He's been out because of the knee injury. So it's hard to say he's going to be a 260 hitter. He can be a 270 hitter. He could be a 240 hitter. But again, if he hits 30 home runs, he kind of counteracts what you need from him overall, because he's going to be in the middle of this lineup. So it's going to be very interesting what the Mets are going to do with Ronnie Mauricio when they deem him ready to go. Because I don't think they're going to wait. They're going to bring him in on the big league club. It's just a matter of who's going away from this roster. And again, nobody's going to cry if Starling Marte is the guy that gets DFA. It's just nobody's going to really worry about that. Because, again, the potential of Ronnie Mauricio bringing that extra bat to this lineup, and obviously will be the DH, but it's going to be a fluctuation here. It's going to be Ronnie Mauricio playing third base today, Vientos DHing. You're going to see Mauricio playing second base, McNeil DHing, or Acuna DH, or whatever it might be, but these guys are going to be in the lineup. So it's going to be very interesting to see what exactly the Mets are going to do when they deem Ronnie Mauricio ready to go. Let's see. CD with the super chat. I do appreciate that. This the offense I've been calling for. I think Vientos gets better pitches to hit in front of Soto. I want to see him and Nimmo rotate in the 2-hole. I don't think Nimmo's going back to the 2-hole. As much as I would like that, I don't think they're going to do it. I think this is going to lead up to Juan Soto going back in the 2-hole at some point, in my opinion. Right? Again, you have 3 and 4 hitters that are not hitting right now at all. To be quite honest, they're not. Alonso has been bad for the last 3 weeks. Soto has been bad, if not all of the season, except for maybe a week. So you have near 3 or 4 hitters that you put in more into the prime RBI slot who are not doing anything with runners in scoring position or with people on base in your 3-4 spot. So you're moving your 2 and 3 hitters to your 3 and 4 hitters, which have been prime real estate, prime run producing spots that have not been hitting. And I don't see how that helps. But again, I have no problem with Mendoza mixing it up a little bit. I don't. Like, if it works, it works. Great. The Mets scored 5 runs against Boston the other day, but it was mostly Brett Beatty. It wasn't the guys at the top. Lindor got that late inning solo home run, but other than that, it was Brett Beatty. So, and he was batting 6th or 7th in the lineup in the Boston last game in Boston. So I like the fact that where Mendoza put Vientos, I think this is going to be for a little while. Like, you're not going to do it for 3 games, and if they don't hit, you're going to change back the lineup to what it was. You got to keep it going a little bit, see if you get a little bit of comfortability here. And I think from 5 to 9, you might be changing it up a little bit more, because I hope Nimmo's not going to see the cleanup spot anymore. He's either going to be 5 or 6, and that is something that we are going to see when it comes to. And yes, I just saw Vientos scratched, guys. I just got the alert. So let me just double check who's in the lineup. It's definitely a different lineup now for sure. Okay. So let me just let everybody know that there has been a lineup change. Okay, so we're not going to see Vientos in the 2-hole because he got scratched from the lineup. I don't know. Obviously, I'm live with you guys. I'm not looking at my phone. If you have any updates, please let me know. In the chat, what do you see? What happens when it comes to Mark Vientos not being in the lineup anymore? So Starlin Marte is back in the 2-hole as the DH. Luisano Acuna is now in the lineup at 9th, playing second base. So it was going to be Vientos in the 2-hole playing third base with Beatty. I'm sorry, with DH. Playing third base. Beatty was playing second base, but because Vientos got scratched, he is out of the lineup. Marte moves up to the 2-hole, and Acuna is in the ball game playing second base. Beatty over to third, and Acuna is batting 9th in the lineup. So I don't know if Vientos is sick or he's hurt or whatever. I don't know. I saw you guys' comments, and then I got the notification. If you guys are still here and looking at updates on X or wherever you're getting your information from, let me know in the comments so I can let everybody know that's watching the stream right now. So once again, lineup change for the New York Mets. Mark Vientos got scratched late at 6:09. He got scratched, and it's a new lineup now. So Acuna's in the ball game playing second base. Beatty at third base. Starlin Marte is at the 2-hole now and still DHing. So it's Lindor, Marte, Soto, Alonso, Nimmo, Taylor, Alvarez, Beatty, Acuna. I wish I can change the lineup right now, but it doesn't seem like anything's working, but I'll keep you posted every few minutes when it comes to the lineup. So once again, guys, Mark Vientos is scratched, and Joel just said Vientos has stomach issues, so got a 24-hour bug, guys. That means he keeps on going to the bathroom. But we're not going to see the number 2 spot in Vientos today, unfortunately. But the New York Mets are facing Clayton Kershaw. At one point in his career, it was like, oh, damn, we're facing Clayton Kershaw. Not the same Clayton Kershaw that we've seen in years past where he dominated the Mets, seemed like all the time. He has an over 11 ERA. he's not the same guy. He doesn't throw as hard. He's still got that nasty curveball, but it's probably not as sharp as it once was. The Mets need to jump on Clayton Kershaw today. There's no doubt Clayton Kershaw has to just get beaten up by the New York Mets. If you want to start your offense getting going, hit Clayton Kershaw. This series, in my opinion, the Mets have the pitching matchup in every one of these games, in my opinion. Now, I know Gonsolin at one point was really good for the Dodgers, but he hasn't been. Clayton Kershaw is not better than Griffin Canning right now. He's not the same guy. And I forgot the third start of pitchers. Let me just double check for you guys. So you got Senga and Knack in the third game of the series. So the Mets have the pitching matchups in every game of this series. You got to take advantage of this. The Dodgers have been struggling worse than the Mets, by the way. And you got to take it to them. This is the best time to get to the Dodgers probably all season. When you face them in LA, and what is it, about a week and a half from now? I think we face LA back in, we face them about 2 weeks in the first week in June. So once we get to LA, they might be a little bit more healthier. They might be playing better. Right now, they're not playing well. You got to take advantage of that. I know the Mets haven't been playing well, but we all know it takes, one game where the offense just takes off. And that's what we need to see from the Mets lineup today. Once again, guys, Mark Vientos has been scratched from the lineup. Starlin Marte is now in the spot of the number 2 spot in the lineup where Vientos was. Beatty is at third base now, and Luis Angel Acuna is at second base. So it's a stomach issue for Mark Vientos, so that's why he's scratched. So the lineup you see on the screen is not the lineup anymore. It's been modified because of Mark Vientos being scratched from the lineup. All right, let's see what we got in the comments. Yeah, Jake, half the pitchers are hurt. That's too bad because the Mets pitching also has been hurt. Shomanaya hasn't pitched a game this year. Frankie Montas has not pitched a game this year. This was 2/5 of their rotation. So I don't want to hear about injuries for the Dodgers. Yeah, the Mets might have the edge, but it is what it is. The Mets haven't had Manaea all year, and yet they're 10 games over 500. And the Dodgers are, 11 games over 500. So they've still been extremely good, and the Mets still have been very good. They've been hovering around that 9-10 game over 500 area for a little decent amount of time now, the Mets. So, yeah, injuries are injuries. You're going to get injuries. The Dodgers sign guys that have injury histories, that have been hurt. So if they thought that these guys weren't going to get hurt, well, you got another thing coming. And when it comes to these Japanese pitchers, there's a big jump from the Japanese league to the major leagues when it comes to bigger ball, less tackiness on the ball, and they seem to have issues with injuries early on to get adjusted to this, the way Major League Baseball is. So, signing guys like Blake Snell, he's been often injured. He was going to get injured. Roki Sasaki, I didn't expect him to get injured, but again, new league, new ball. It's a whole different ball game, and it usually ends up these guys getting hurt somehow. And with the other injuries, you got a lot of guys that have been injury plagued, and they've have known injuries for years. They've been injury prone. So the Dodgers know who they were signing. So that's on the Dodgers for signing those guys. And again, not saying that nobody else would have done it, but these guys were going to get hurt. They have a track record of getting hurt. So it is what it is. The Mets haven't had Sean Manaea all year, who's considered their ace. So, and Frankie Montas, who was supposed to be a number 3 and number 4 in your rotation, and now you got McGill and others in the rotation that might not have been in the rotation if those two guys were healthy. So the Mets could have been even better than what they've shown this year, with the high mark being 13 games over 500. Maybe they would have been better if Manaea and Montas was healthy and pitching in this rotation every 5th or 6th day. So everybody has injuries, but you have one of the best lineups in baseball. Look at this lineup. It's a dangerous lineup. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Smith, Hernandez, and, Matt Muncy, Page, nice. Conforto is having a decent season. Tommy Edwin, we know what he did against the Mets, and he's another guy that is always dangerous because he just went to the Dodgers and he became a totally different player when he was traded during the deadline last year. So the lineup has been carrying the Los Angeles Dodgers, unlike the Mets, where the pitching has carried the Mets basically the entire season. So it's been very interesting to see the dynamics of two of these teams. Mets lineup hasn't really hit this year. The Dodger offense has been the pitching that has not been so good with all the injuries. The Dodgers offense has been carrying them. The Mets pitching has been carrying them. So here's a dynamic, the East versus West showdown, where both of these teams are top of the league record-wise, but they have issues. And they're facing each other tonight. The Mets pitching has been outstanding, facing a really good Dodger offense. The Mets offense has been struggling, facing a pitching staff in the Dodgers with their injuries that has not been very good. So who's going to prevail here? Is it going to be the Dodger lineup over the Mets pitching, or is it going to be the Mets lineup over the Dodger pitching? That is something that is going to be the key to success for either team in this series at Citi Field, as they play a 3-game series at Citi Field, starting tonight at 7:10. And it's on Apple TV, by the way. And once again, guys, the lineup is not the same anymore. The Mets have modified that. Mark Vientos has been scratched from the lineup. Mark Vientos, again, stomach issue, so he's not going to be in the lineup. He has been scratched. Luisano Acuna is at second base. Brett Baty is at third base now, and Starlin Marte is now in the 2-hole, still DHing, but the lineup has been modified from what you see on your screen. And Sanders, I love that you say that, right? I think we all want Ronnie Mauricio here. Who are you sending down? Who are you getting off this roster? And don't say just anybody, because that doesn't work. And you might say Starlin Marte, but again, that is getting rid of your another veteran that I think is part of the camaraderie and part of the good vibes in this dugout. And I think Starlin Marte has a good rapport with a lot of the players on this team. And I think that means something. I really think it does. Now, again, people are saying Acuna. And that's very interesting. I'm surprised by that, because a lot of people wouldn't say that. 2 weeks ago, he was just starting second baseman. Now everybody wants to see Jeff McNeil on there every day. Wow, how tables have turned. Now, I think Ronnie Mauricio is going to be a much better player than Luisano Acuna, but I don't think the Mets are going to send Acuna down. Now, again, I would do it. If you're not going to DFA Marte, which I don't think the Mets are going to do, the only other option is Luisano Acuna. Southside, no, we're not done with Soto. We're not Yankee fans, right? We don't give up on our players like you guys do. So yeah, that I'm not worried about at all. What up, Southside? How you doing, buddy? So yeah, no, we're not giving up on Soto, because we know Soto his entire career has put up the numbers, right? Even in 2022, when he got traded to the Padres, he wasn't good when he went to the Padres from that trade, but if you look at his September and playoff numbers, they were outstanding. He wasn't good during the August and even most of September, except late September. He was actually extremely good. So I'm not worried about Juan Soto. Juan Soto's going to figure it out. He's too good of a player not to figure it out. And it's been his entire career, right? Am I frustrated by him? Sure, absolutely. But if anybody expected him to hit like he did with the Yankees, you're not paying attention to his entire career. He's not a 40 home run guy. Again, go look at his home runs last year. He hit about 5 or 6 of them, maybe even 7 of them, that wouldn't have went out of any ballpark except for Yankee Stadium. That is a big difference. That is from 41 home runs to 34, 35 home runs. That is a huge difference. You know, everybody's talking about, Juan Soto not really doing much. He has 9 home runs, right? Pete Alonso, guess what he has? 9 home runs. Nobody's talking about Pete Alonso's home runs. So he's on track, if you just go by basic math, 50 games of the season, do another 50 games. Say he hits 9 more home runs, which wouldn't be great, but that would be 18 home runs. Do another 50 games, right? 9, 18, another 9 is 27 home runs, right where his career average is, between 27 and 30 home runs. So he's on pace for hitting the home runs that we're used to seeing him hit. He hits between 27 to 32 home runs. That is his average. So if he hits that, that is right where his power is in his career. I'm not looking at what he did with the Yankees. I don't look at anybody that plays for the Yankees and goes on another team and think he's going to hit similar home runs. He's never done that in his career. And I don't want to hear, oh, he was in front of, he had Aaron Judge to protect him. Nonsense. Maybe average, but not power. All right. Yankee Stadium was a big reason why he had 41 home runs. Let's be honest about that. Yeah, Southside. Again, look what he's done. He hit 2 more home runs with the Yankees at this point than he has with the New York Mets. So it's not a major difference. It's not at this moment. Now, the average is a huge difference. Now, that's where I could say Juan Soto had got a lot more fastballs down the middle because people didn't want to face Judge. Home run-wise, I'm not really calling out. I'm putting 6 to 7 home runs from that 41 that had Yankee Stadium written all over it. So if you take those in half and you take those out where they wouldn't be home runs in most ballparks, if any, other than Yankee Stadium, that's around 35, 36 home runs. So it's not a major difference from where his average is. So I'm not looking at the home runs. If you thought he was going to hit 40 home runs, you're a fool. Sorry, he's never done that in his career. He did it last year because he played at Yankee Stadium. He hit between 5 and 7 more home runs that wouldn't have been out in any other ballpark. Couple of pop-ups to right field go over the wall. Couple of hard line drives that are 11, 12 feet up in the air goes over that very short wall. Like, that is the difference. Yeah, Southside, and every player wants the money, right? Aaron Judge was this close to going to San Francisco until, Hal Steinbrenner had to take out a 401k just to pay Aaron Judge what he wanted, the extra year. So, other than guys staying on the team that they got brought up with, a lot of players don't take less money. And it's about 95, 96%. They take the most money. So Juan Soto isn't unique to this. Like, how many times why haven't I heard Yankee fans say, oh, well, he wanted to be a Yankee? No, he didn't. Now, this goes for any player that's really good. No, he didn't want to be a Yankee. The Yankees gave him the most money. That has been for years what has been the case. Jacoby Ellsbury, you think he wanted to be a Yankee? No, the Yankees were stupid enough to give him the most money. Max Fried, you think he wanted to be a Yankee? No, they gave him 1 more year than the Red Sox. So Fried took the money. Juan Soto took the money. No different. Like, that's what we're talking about here. The silly thing is that we think Juan Soto has been the only one that took the most money when it's the Yankees have been getting players because they've been paying guys the most money. Mark Teixeira, CC Sabathia, who wanted to go to California, didn't want to come to New York, by the way, didn't want to go to the Yankees, but they gave him the most money. And Yankee fans love CC Sabathia because of 09, right? Like, how does that dynamic work? So when one guy takes the most money to leave the Yankees, it's the end of the world. You turn your back on him. You see Juan Soto. Like, come on. Like, that's why you can't respect Yankee fans. I'm sorry. Like, you guys are delusional. Like, the Yankees have not got players time and time again because they got the most money. And, of course, they're going to say at the press conference, well, I always wanted to be a Yankee. Like, okay. Like, that saying has sailed, all right? It ain't the dynasty Yankees anymore. Let's be honest about that, guys. All right. So, and yeah, I agree. Well, but that's the thing too. Like, his average has been between 27 to 32 home runs, give or take. I think it was 2023. He had 34, 35 home runs with the Padres, if I'm not mistaken. San Diego, pitcher's ballpark. Washington, pitcher's ballpark. Right. And then he goes to the Yankees, where it's pull central. So he got pull heavy. And again, once you play for the Yankees and you end up on another team, you're going to have problems pulling the ball. That has been a big problem with Juan Soto. He's been pulling off on everything. You fall into a habit when you're a left-hander in Yankee Stadium. Because once you're out of there and you don't play 81 games at Yankee Stadium, it's a huge difference. You got to learn to do what you did best. And Juan Soto isn't a pull hitter. In his entire career, when Juan Soto is one of the best hitters in baseball, he's hitting the ball to center field, left center, with power, with authority. That's when he's at his best. You could see he's pulling off of everything, right? Your whole mindset at Yankee Stadium, why are you hitting the ball to left center at Yankee Stadium when that's the biggest part of the ballpark? You're going to try to pull the ball. That puts you in a habit. When you play 81 games plus playoffs at Yankee Stadium, it puts you in a bad habit, no matter if you're Juan Soto or somebody else. That's what I think it is with Juan Soto. He's pulling off way too much, and balls that would be out of Yankee Stadium. How many balls have he hit to the warning track this year that has been to right center? Those balls are out of Yankee Stadium. At least 4 or 5. So he would have, 13, 14 home runs by now, and nobody would be talking. He'd be leading the team with home runs. Like, that's the difference between ballparks. Like in Boston, look at the shot that he hit in left center, dead center field, basically. That would have been out in 27 ballparks. Like, that's the difference. And again, no excuse for Juan Soto. He needs to be better, right? That average is what is pissing me off, not the home runs. Because again, he's averaging, going through the season, just go by 50 games. Go by 50 game intervals. If he hits 9 home runs in the next 50 games, that is 18 home runs. You go to another 50, that's 150 games. With another 9 home runs, that's 27 home runs. Let's say he hits 1 or 2 more over those 50-game intervals. The next 2 50-game intervals, he would have close to 30 home runs, which is right on par what Juan Soto has done his entire career. I'm not focused on the home runs. His average is what is pissing me off. I need him to bat 270, 280. That's where he thrives, because he hits his average, what is it, 275 hitter? His career, 275, 280. He needs to be around that. Because if he hits 27, 28 home runs and he's batting 275, 280, nobody should be complaining, because that's exactly what he's done his entire career. We focus, too many Met fans focus on Juan Soto with the Yankee numbers, which is obviously inflated because of the stadium. Thank you, Diddy. 285 career average. Now, he hits 27 home runs, let's say 90 RBIs, 285 average. Who's complaining about that? Now, he got paid like he's an offensive crazy run producer, 120 RBIs, 37 home runs, 310 average. Like, he doesn't do all that. He's going to have between 90 and 100 RBIs. He's going to have between 27 and 32 home runs. The average is what is concerning to me. And if that gets better, he's right on par to what he's done his entire career, especially power-wise. So I'm not concerned about Juan Soto, because when you're a pure hitter your entire career like Juan Soto is, he's going to figure it out. I still believe when you leave Yankee Stadium as a player and you're still in your prime, you have issues going back to what made you successful. Juan Soto, if you look at his spray chart, not just home runs, just in general, how many hits he had to the right center field side, because you're not a left-handed hitter who does not try to pull the ball. You get pull heavy. And Juan Soto, playing in that stadium, you get pull happy. And again, that is a great method to have when you're a left-handed batter in Yankee Stadium. You're not trying to hit the ball to left center field in Yankee Stadium as a left-handed hitter. Yes, Juan Soto can hit it out. Cody Bellinger can hit it out. But you have a better percentage of hitting a home run over the wall in right field, in right center. You don't have to hit the ball that far. Right center kicks out to 321, 324. That's down right field lines that are 327, 330 in most ballparks. So, that's a habit that you have to kick, especially when you're playing at Citi Field in the majority of your games or most other ballparks. You're not going to get those home runs. Those pop-ups that go 315 or 316 are over the wall at Yankee Stadium. They're routine pop-ups in every ballpark. That is a huge difference. So I'm telling you, Juan Soto needs to be a heck of a lot better. But we're talking about home runs like he's not on pace to do his basic average of home runs. Now, he needs to be better with runners in scoring position, which has been, in his entire career, has been extremely good, except for that 2.5 month stretch in 2022 with the Padres. He was really good in 2023 with the Padres with that. His average is nowhere near where it needs to be. He needs to be batting 275 plus. His home runs Again, he missed a couple that would have been out. Again, the one in Boston, if it wasn't 40 degrees, it might have been out of the ballpark. And he had a couple others where the weather hasn't been good. The wind has been blowing, and it would have been out of the ballpark. They talked about it on the broadcast. Same thing with Pete Alonso. He would have had a couple of more home runs if it wasn't for the wind in Boston. So, you're talking about a 2 or 3 home run difference if, all things were exactly the way you needed them, equal when it comes to weather and ballpark. So, no, 99, I agree with you. I agree with you. But what I'm telling you, I'm not talking about Duran. Duran has nothing to do with me. He's not going to help my team win any games. I'm talking about the guys who can put runs on a board that can help my team. I don't care about Duran. Yeah, I saw that. I know Duran's would have been home run, but again, the Mets hit a lot of balls that would have been out of a ballpark if it wasn't cold, including the Red Sox. But I don't care about the Duran no grand slam. I don't care about Juan Soto's possible grand slam if he would have got that ball if the wind wasn't there. And Pete Alonso's ball that was crushed to left field that the wind held up. Well, 99, I mean, it's the same game that Juan Soto would have hit the grand slam, so it would have been basically an even punch-out, right? So that it is, and yet Alvarez, well, if Alvarez hit a home run tonight, that's probably like a plus, like 450 on the money line for Francisco Alvarez. But again, we're talking about, see, the Yankee fans can't wait to bring up Juan Soto and the home runs like it was that much of a difference for the first 50 games. He had, 12 home runs at this point? It's a 3 home run difference. And I'm not looking at the home runs. That's the thing where too many Met fans are acting too delusional like Yankee fans when it comes to that. Juan Soto isn't a 40 home run guy. He never was. Yankee Stadium had a lot to do with that, guys. Juan Soto is a 27 to 32 home run guy. That is his average in his career. Now, the average is what we should be concerned about. Because he just said it, 285 average career, and right now it's 283 because of what he's doing this year. If he hits 27 home runs, 90 RBIs, 275 average, it's right where he needs to be. Now, you would like more RBIs, absolutely. But again, when you got Alonso that should be hitting 95 to 100 RBIs, when you got Lindor that should be hitting 90 to 95 RBIs, Vientos should be around the 90 RBI mark. Nimmo should be around the 80, 85 mark. You don't need that much more RBIs. You just got to do it at the right moments. No, 99, if you go look at it, and right before the Yankee series, they showed a stat that it was like 47 games. 46, 47 games. Same mark with the Yankees. The only 2 differences was OPS and average. His home runs were identical for those number of games at that moment last year with the Yankees. It was when he got into late May, into June, and I'm sorry about the plane, guys. That's making a lot of noise. Let me just wait for it to pass. I feel like I'm at Citi Field, and I'm far from there. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not saying that he's been good, but too many people are talking about power. Like, again, only 4 games ago, right before the Subway Series, they put up a stat. They matched it with the Yankee stats and the Mets stats for the first 46, 47 games of the year. He had the exact same number of home runs. The RBIs were he had 4 RBIs more with the Yankees than with the Mets. Not a major difference. That's 1 game where he might have came through a couple more times in 1 game. The OPS and the average is what is a huge difference. And again, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the average. The hell with the OPS. I don't care about OPS. You guys know my channel. If you watch me long enough, you guys know I do not care about OPS. OPS is a flawed stat. Sorry to say, it's a flawed stat. Anybody can use OPS as end-all be-all. Go right ahead. All right, because somebody can have a 230 average and have an 850, 870 OPS. And they're like, well, he hits a lot of home runs. He has a lot of RBIs. Yeah, but if he doesn't hit a home run, he does nothing with the baseball. That is the difference. Well, 99, he shouldn't be batting at least 300 because his career is a 285 average. So he needs to be batting between 280 to 285. That's his sweet spot. That's the sweet spot. I would even give him a 275 average, 270, 275. Because again, when you're at the 240, 250 mark, when you're getting more and more at bats, as you all know, you've watched baseball long enough and play baseball, some of you. once you hit a lot of at-bats, it's very hard to have your average jump 20 to 25 points unless you go on a crazy hot streak for about a month where you're you're basically getting 50% of your at-bats, you're putting bat onto ball and you're getting hits. So it is a problem. I completely agree with that, but I'm not expecting him to hit 280, 290. Like, look at Lindor last year. Lindor was batting under 200. He was batting like 210, 200, 198. You saw where he got it up to the 270s, but he remained hot from like June all the way to the end of the season. Like, if Lindor wasn't getting 2 hits a game, it seemed like it was a bad day. So can Juan Soto do that? Absolutely. But again, if he can hit, again, too many people are talking about his home runs. You are delusional if you're looking at the stats last year when it came to home runs and looking at that as what you should expect from Juan Soto. You, like Met fans, you should be more smarter than this. And right now, you're kind of acting silly when it comes to that. We've watched Juan Soto for 6 years with the Nationals. He never was a 40 home run guy. Yeah, he had that 37 home runs, close to it. But his average is around 27 to 32, 33, around that area. If he hits that mark, his power is right where it needs to be. The runners in scoring position are an issue, and the average is an issue. Those are the two things that need to get better. The average is going to coincide with runners in scoring position. He starts hitting with runners in scoring position, that average is going to jump up. Because he's been getting his hits with nobody on base. And again, we don't want just that. Again, batting in the 2-hole, that's where he needs to be getting on base when you're in the 2-hole. I don't care who you are in the 2-hole. All right? Unless you're Aaron Judge, who hits every ball over the wall, and that's how good Aaron Judge is. When you're in the 2-hole, I don't care who the hitter is. Your job is to get on base. Now, putting Soto in the 3-hole, guess what I expect now? I expect a run producer. I expect the guy driving the ball, gap to gap, of course, a couple of home runs here or there, but I need the guy to be driving in runs. The concerning part about putting Alonso and Soto in the 3-4 spot, Mendoza is telling us that he wants Soto and Alonso to be the big run producers. I'm okay with that. But both of these guys have not hit over the last 3 weeks. Soto for the majority of the season. Pete Alonso, the last 3 weeks, he hasn't had a home run since what? The last homestand? Early in the homestand? Juan Soto has been a 0 with the runners in scoring position. That's been a problem. So when Mendoza is telling you he's trusting Juan Soto and Pete Alonso, which he should, to be the big run producers on this team, that needs to happen. Because if not, this lineup is not going to be a successful change. I don't care who you put in the 2-hole. Because if you put Vientos there and he's not hitting home runs, he's going to get on base. So what you're doing, Juan Soto isn't the speediest of runners and speedy base runners. But if you notice, when Juan Soto gets on base, he'll sneak a stolen base. He got a decent amount of speed to score from second. Mark Vientos, guess what you're going to do? You're putting a freaking turtle at second base. So if he gets on base, unless Juan Soto's hitting a triple in the gap, or a triple in a gap, or a double where it gets bobbled, Vientos is not scoring from first base. So you're actually doing that. That dynamic that nobody wants to talk about. Now, Vientos is scratched from the lineup today. But it seems like Mendoza is going to put Vientos, for at least the time being, in the 2-hole. This seems like it's going to be the lineup for a while with the 1 through 4. So let's say Vientos is in the 2 spot. Whatever Lindor does, Lindor does. Vientos needs to do his job, to do what he has to do to hopefully get Lindor in. But Vientos is a slug on the base paths. So again, Juan Soto and Pete Alonso need to hit doubles or more to drive in Mark Vientos. Because Mark Vientos is not fast at all. And he runs with weights on his ankles. So overall, what do the Mets have to do? Well, Mendoza is telling you with this lineup. Again, Mark Vientos is scratched from the lineup. Starlin Marte is the DH, batting second now. Acuna is in the ball game, playing second base. Beatty's playing third base. So Mark Vientos is scratched from the lineup. Marte's in the 2-hole today because Vientos has he's sick, stomach issues. So the fact that Mendoza is telling you with this lineup, prior to Vientos getting scratched, is he is trusting, which he should, by the way, your two biggest money guys in Pete Alonso and Juan Soto. He's saying, I'm putting you guys in the 3-hole and the 4-hole to be the run producers. So it's up to Juan Soto and Pete Alonso to wake up and start driving in runs. That's what Mendoza is saying. You take Alonso out of the 3-hole, put him in a cleanup spot. That's where he belongs. At this moment, what Mendoza is saying. Juan Soto is now in the 3rd hole. That is a run-producing spot in the lineup. Get the job done. It's just that simple. Yeah, but, okay, we're talking about Vientos with protection and with a different hitter. Mark Vientos was protecting Pete Alonso last year. Vientos had nobody protecting him last year. And look what the numbers he put up. Juan Soto hasn't hit this year. So who's protecting Vientos? Like, can we stop about the protection? I don't want to hear that. That is such nonsense. It is such an overblown way to make excuses for players. Last year, according to all Met fans, Pete Alonso had no protection in the lineup at all. There's not one Met fan this year when Pete Alonso was red hot for 3 weeks to start the season. You know who Pete Alonso had protecting him? Vientos, 0. Nimmo, 0. Marte, 0. Alvarez, when he came back, 0. And Vientos and Pete Alonso was hitting. So it's not about protection. It's about the individual player. We got to stop this. Stop talking about protection for these players. It is utter nonsense. It's fans using that as an excuse for players they actually like. Stop it. Protection is nonsense. It absolutely is nonsense. It's just a fact. Pete Alonso was red hot for 3 weeks. One of the best hitters in baseball in the first 3 weeks of the season. Wasn't he batting behind Juan Soto? Why wasn't Juan Soto doing great? That you couldn't have better protection except for Aaron Judge. Pete Alonso was the second best hitter in baseball behind Aaron Judge for the first 3 weeks of the season. Why wasn't Juan Soto hitting? It wasn't the protection. It's the individual player. Stop with the excuses about protection. Pete Alonso had no protection last year. He struggled. This year, no protection at all. He was supposed to have protection the way the lineup was filling out, but nobody was hitting behind Pete Alonso. Yet, he was the second best hitter in baseball at the time for the first 2 weeks of the season. Now that he's struggling, we're going to talk about protection, including Vientos. Vientos was supposed to be protecting Pete Alonso. That was the whole idea of this lineup. Vientos was supposed to be your cleanup hitter. He failed. Now, Mendoza has to change the lineup because Nimmo failed, Juan Soto failed, Vientos failed, and now you got to move Alonso, who's been struggling, in a prime run-producing spot once again, and you're leaving Lindor in a cleanup spot. So the fact of the matter is, these individuals in this lineup have to do the job. It's just that simple. Juan Soto, you act like he had protection his entire career. Why was he hitting 30 home runs, 95 RBIs, batting 290 in his career? He didn't have protection at every moment of his career. He was the protection. So stop it. It's not about protection. It's about the individual player getting the job done when it matters. Juan Soto in his career has done that every step of the way. Am I worried about him? No. Long term, I'm not. Does he need to be better now? Yes, because the team is not hitting. That's why he needs to be better. Right? Everybody blew over to Juan Soto, struggling for the first 3 weeks when Pete Alonso and Lindor was going off the first couple of weeks of the season. Now that the entire team is struggling, the focus is now on Juan Soto. And it should be. Mendoza moved him from a 2 spot, which is a table setter in your lineup. I know people don't care about that anymore because too many young analytical nutcase minds think that the number 2 spot is supposed to be the best hitter in your lineup that is a big power guy. It doesn't work like that. It never. Baseball is doing this 100 years. And it's changed over the last 5 to 7 years about their best power hitter being in a 2 spot. Your 2 hitter, which Juan Soto is there, He was your table setter. Because he walks a lot, because he finds his way on base a lot. He's the table setter. And he finds ways, the majority of his career, he was a two-hole hitter. He finds ways to hit 27 to 30 home runs, knocking all the RBIs. When he got opportunities, he failed very rarely. Right now, he's not doing well. So Mendoza says, I trust Juan Soto. I trust Pete Alonso to be the big run producers on his team. You don't move guys who've been struggling to the 3-4 hole if you don't believe in them. You would have left it the way it was. What you're hoping for is that somebody in the 2-hole starts to pick it up a little bit, where you got Lindor and somebody else in the 2 spot on base for Juan Soto and Pete Alonso, who are supposed to be a run producers. That is the idea when it comes to the switch in the lineup. Because what are you changing with 2 guys who are not hitting with Pete Alonso and Juan Soto? You moved them from 2-3 to 3-4, which makes it even worse if they don't hit. Because now you're going to have 2 guys in front of them that possibly could be on for guys who not hitting in runners in scoring position. Juan Soto the entire year, Pete Alonso the last 3 weeks. So something's got to change here. Somebody needs to step up. I honestly don't care who it is. Somebody step up. When you have Vientos, Nimmo, Alvarez, all guys that were supposed to be big parts of the middle of this lineup struggle and still haven't performed, now you have to count even more heavily on Juan Soto and Pete Alonso getting the job done, because the others are not, who were supposed to be your 4, 5, your 5 and 6 in this lineup. That was supposed to be why your lineup was supposed to be so strong, so deeper as a lineup. That has not been the case this year. One, because Juan Soto has struggled. Pete Alonso has struggled the last 3 weeks. You never have a 2-hitter that has been working with Juan Soto. So your cleanup hitter, who's mostly been Vientos and Nimmo, have been almost zeros. It's a huge problem. So what the Mets have to do here, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, you're in prime real estate run producing spots. They need to step up. Lindor, been struggling a little bit, but I know Lindor is going to get on base. Number 2 at this moment, not today because Vientos scratched from the lineup, Marte, who looked pretty decent in the 2-hole in the 3rd game against Boston. Had long at-bats. Again, the results weren't there, but he had good at-bats. I like Marte in the 2-hole from time to time. But what you're going to see is possibility of having guys on base for Juan Soto and Pete Alonso, because you're telling us with Mendoza putting those 2 guys in 3-4 that you are trusting them to be run producers, which they should be. They're struggling right now, but they need to be that. With that said, guys, I want you to enjoy the game tonight. I'm going to do a in-game live tomorrow and probably Sunday. Definitely tomorrow. I'm not sure about Sunday, but I want to do Saturday and Sunday in-game live. So I'm going to do a pregame and in-game live for you guys tomorrow. Post-game, 50-50. It's hard to do it when you're solo because I got to do all the streams, and do back-to-back-to-back is kind of hard. But I'm definitely going to do a pregame. Definitely going to do an in-game live tomorrow for the 7 o'clock start, 7:15 start for the night game on Saturday, Mets and Dodgers. So enjoy the game, guys. If you're going to be doing stuff on Memorial Day weekend, you can't tune in. Be safe. Be smart. Enjoy the extra day off for your weekend, guys. Have a good night. Let's go, Mets. Let's start the homestand with the W tonight, guys. Have a good night, guys. Let's go, Mets.
Seven train rumble, headed to the field. Orange and blue vibes, the energy revealed.